Caleb Shadow Price, age 38, former military sniper, now a hitman, is silently poised, watching through the crosshairs. His hands, steady and practiced, make minute adjustments, and the weight of the moment presses on him. He's about to execute a contract on a cheating banker, a job that's cold and impersonal. Caleb's voice, devoid of emotion, cuts through the silence. The target is a banker. He's been cheating on his wife, and the contract's clear. Eliminate the problem. It's not personal until it is. He lines up the shot, his gaze unwavering, but deep within him, a storm brews. A storm of emotions that have been buried for far too long. It's not just the banker's life hanging in the balance. Caleb's own life, built on betrayal and revenge, is about to collapse. He's done this 1,000 times before, but this time, there's something different. This job is no longer just about money or vengeance. It's about facing the darkest corners of his own soul. This time, Caleb is not just the hitman. He's the victim. Caleb's journey into the world of contract killings didn't begin with a desire for money or power. It began with a deep, searing betrayal that fractured his life forever. His story starts in the military, where he served as a sniper, trained to kill from miles away, detached from emotion and consequence. He was a ghost on the battlefield, focused solely on the mission, his targets nothing more than dots in his scope. But then, a tragic event shattered that carefully constructed world. During a mission in the desert, Caleb witnessed a betrayal that would haunt him forever. A close friend, a fellow soldier, was left to die because of a cowardly act by someone they trusted. It wasn't just a death. It was a violation of everything Caleb stood for. This betrayal, this gut-wrenching, unforgivable act, changed Caleb's outlook on life. He saw the damage infidelity and betrayal could cause, and he realized that there was no escape from the pain. It was in that moment that Caleb made a decision that would alter his future. He would become the one to mete out justice for those wronged by their partners, to end the affairs, the lies, and the destruction. He became a hitman, specializing in eliminating cheaters. But with each life he took, Caleb was slowly losing a piece of himself, becoming the very thing he despised, a man who carried his own betrayal like a heavy burden. Now, Caleb Shadow Price is far removed from the battlefield. His world is no longer the desert sands or military operations. It's the cold, sterile precision of contract killing. He's become the go-to hitman for a very specific kind of job, eliminating unfaithful partners. The transformation from soldier to mercenary wasn't a sudden change. It was a progression born from years of anger and betrayal. Caleb didn't choose this life out of greed. He chose it because it gave him control over something he couldn't control: pain. In his line of work, emotions are a liability. He is a master of detachment, able to separate his work from his personal life. The mission is always the same: kill the target. And over time, he's become a ghost, blending into the shadows, removing the stains of infidelity without leaving a trace. His sniper skills have made him highly sought after. Precision is his trademark. He doesn't just eliminate targets. He does it without leaving a footprint, without anyone ever knowing he was there. For him, it's a job. A cold, calculated job. But every hit comes with a cost. Caleb may have mastered the art of emotional detachment when it comes to his work, but the ghosts of his past, the betrayal he suffered in the military, still linger at the edge of his consciousness. Each job feels like a small victory over his own trauma, but deep down, he knows it's hollow. No matter how many targets he eliminates, no matter how many cheating spouses he takes out, nothing changes the emptiness inside. His professional life, built on the principle of retribution, mirrors the devastation of his personal life. Caleb's world, which he has carefully constructed around the notion of vengeance, is about to crumble. One evening, as he reviews footage for a new job, he comes across something he never expected. His wife, Juliana, a woman he's been married to for 7 years, having an affair with a man named Peter Miller, a client of Caleb's. The surveillance footage is shocking, not just because of what it shows, but because of who the people involved are. Peter, a wealthy tech mogul, isn't just some stranger. He's someone Caleb knows, someone he's worked with on numerous jobs. And now, Peter is intimately involved with his wife. The images flood Caleb's mind as he watches them over and over, trying to make sense of what he's seeing. His heart races, and his breath shortens as he realizes the depth of the betrayal. His wife, the woman who has been by his side through the darkness, is in the arms of another man, someone who has been close to him, someone he trusted. It's a gut-wrenching moment. The man who has built his entire career on exposing and eliminating cheaters is now the victim of the very thing he's been dealing out for years. But it's not just the affair itself that cuts Caleb deeply. It's the realization that Juliana is no longer the woman he thought she was. In a single instant, everything changes. The steady rhythm of his life, the cold precision with which he eliminates targets, is shattered. His professional detachment becomes impossible to maintain. The betrayal that has been the backbone of his work, the reason he's in this business, is now staring him in the face. Caleb knows he can't simply walk away. This isn't just a job anymore, it's personal, and the cost of his work has just gotten far too real. Caleb, now consumed by a rage he hasn't felt in years, begins to plan the perfect execution of Peter Miller, a man who's crossed not just the line of professional ethics, but the most sacred boundary, the betrayal of his wife. For the first time in his life, Caleb is unsure whether he's making the right decision, but his anger overrides any semblance of doubt. This isn't just a job anymore. It's a mission of personal retribution. The plan is methodical. Caleb has spent years honing his ability to be invisible, to stalk a target without detection, but now he's also hunting someone who knows him. The threat of being discovered weighs heavily on him, but it doesn't stop him. It pushes him forward. Caleb knows the stakes are high, and the emotions are dangerously close to the surface, but he has no choice. He arranges to meet Peter in an isolated hotel suite, far from the public eye, where Peter won't have any backup, no allies. Caleb waits patiently, hidden in the shadows, observing the man who has not only betrayed his wife, but also betrayed the trust of someone he once considered an associate. As Peter enters the hotel room, unaware that his life is about to be upended, Caleb's heart pounds in his chest. The target is within reach. The sniper's gaze doesn't falter, but the anger, the hurt, is palpable in the stillness of the room. The confrontation between Caleb and Peter doesn't need words. It's raw, emotional, and brutal. The tension in the air is suffocating as Caleb silently acknowledges the betrayal that has irrevocably altered his life. With a swift, calculated movement, Caleb confronts Peter, and in an unexpected twist of fate, Peter's heart succumbs to the stress of the moment, triggering a fatal heart attack. The very man who was willing to destroy Caleb's life with his infidelity is now gone. But even as Peter collapses, Caleb stands over him, watching him die with a mixture of satisfaction and disgust. The weight of what he's just done crashes down on him, but the moment is too significant to dwell on the consequences. Peter Miller is gone, but Caleb knows that in the end, it's only a temporary relief for his fractured soul. Juliana arrives at the hotel, unaware of what has transpired. Caleb, now outside, monitors the situation from a safe distance, watching as his wife steps into the hotel lobby, her eyes scanning the surroundings, a look of expectation in her eyes. She's there to meet Peter, the man she's been having an affair with, and for Caleb, it's the final, brutal confirmation of her betrayal. He's seen it all, but witnessing it in person is something else entirely. When Juliana enters the suite and sees Peter lying dead on the floor, her reaction is as cold and emotionless as Caleb's ever feared. There's no shock, no scream of horror. Instead, she simply looks down at Peter's body, her expression unreadable. It's a moment of eerie calm, a realization that everything Caleb has done, everything he has sacrificed to avenge his pain, means nothing to her. Caleb watches her from a distance, his own heart racing, the world spinning around him. He thought that confronting Peter, ending the affair, would bring him some kind of peace, but instead it only deepens the void. Juliana's indifference is a cruel reminder of the betrayal's depth. She doesn't mourn Peter's death. She doesn't even flinch. Without a word, she leaves the hotel room, as if nothing significant has happened. Her lack of reaction is a devastating blow to Caleb. This was supposed to be the moment of closure for him, a chance to regain some semblance of control over his broken life. But now, all he feels is hollow. He watches his wife walk away, and he realizes that the revenge he sought has come at a far higher price than he ever anticipated. This wasn't just about eliminating a cheater, it was about the destruction of everything he once held dear. And now, he's left standing in the ruins of his own life, questioning whether any of it was worth it. As Caleb watches Juliana walk away, the final crushing blow comes. The realization that in her eyes he was just another man who failed her. She's never loved him the way he thought. The story of their marriage, built on trust, is gone, and all that's left is a shadow of what once was. As Caleb watches Juliana leave the hotel, without a second glance at Peter's lifeless body, a sharp, jagged pain cuts through him, deeper than any physical wound he's ever inflicted on his targets. He thought that killing Peter would bring him justice, a sense of finality, a release from the anger that has poisoned his life for so long. Instead, it has only left him hollow, empty, and desperate for answers he may never have. His mind begins to spiral, racing through thoughts of everything that led him here. He questions every choice he's made in his life, why he chose this path as a hitman, why he clung to the profession of revenge. Was it because of the betrayal he experienced in the military? Was he trying to erase the scars of that dark chapter in his life by becoming the very thing he hated? Or worse, was it because of Juliana? She was the one constant in his life, the woman he loved, the woman who turned out to be just as capable of betrayal as the people he was hired to eliminate. Caleb's thoughts turn inward, gnawing at him. He's no longer the cold, calculating hitman who once viewed murder as just another job. He's lost his grip on the detached persona he had carefully constructed over the years. The lines between his professional life and his personal life are now blurred beyond recognition. The woman he married, the woman he thought he knew, has shattered everything he believed in. In the dead of night, as Caleb sits alone in his apartment, his mind drifts back to the moments he shared with Juliana, the way she would laugh, the way she'd always take his hand when they walked together. He tries to hold on to those memories, but they slip through his fingers like sand, replaced by the images of her with Peter, her eyes cold and uncaring. His professional life, once his escape, now feels like a prison. Every hit he takes, every job he completes, feels meaningless. Caleb is lost, adrift in a sea of grief, guilt, and anger. The profession that gave him purpose now feels like a mask he can no longer wear. The shadows he once embraced are now closing in on him, suffocating him. He can't run from the truth anymore. He's broken. And worse, he's not sure who he is anymore. The hitman, the soldier, the man who thought he could control pain with violence. He's nothing now. Just a man who has lost everything. In the days that follow the confrontation with Juliana and Peter's death, Caleb is unable to escape the consequences of his actions. His life feels like it's unraveling at an accelerated pace, the weight of his past choices crashing down on him with unbearable intensity. Every moment he spends thinking about the affair, the betrayal, and the violence he has inflicted weighs heavier on his shoulders. His sniper rifle, once an instrument of precision, now feels like a relic of a life he's grown to despise. The world he has created for himself, one built on revenge, on eliminating cheaters, on punishing those who break trust, has become his prison. Caleb knows what he has to do. He can no longer continue living in the shadows, killing for a cause that no longer feels just or righteous. He's seen firsthand the damage that betrayal does, and now he understands that revenge doesn't heal. It only deepens the wounds. His journey as a hitman has come to an end, but Caleb realizes that the hardest part of this decision is confronting the damage he's done, not just to others, but to himself. The final decision is a painful one. Caleb decides to leave his life of violence behind, to walk away from everything that has defined him for so long. He knows that escaping his past won't be easy, and that the ghosts of the people he's killed will always haunt him. But the thought of continuing down this path, of becoming even more lost and detached, is no longer something he can endure. He reaches out to an old friend from his military days, someone who can help him disappear, to start over, to rebuild. Caleb understands that his future is uncertain. He's not sure who he'll become in this new life, or if he can ever truly leave his past behind. But it's the only option left to him. As he packs his belongings, a final thought crosses his mind. He's free, for the first time in years. And as he walks away from everything he's known, Caleb feels the weight of the past begin to lift, even if just a little. It's a fragile hope, but it's something he hasn't had in a long time. As Caleb begins his new life, he is confronted with a deep, unsettling truth. No matter how far he runs or how much he tries to escape, the past will always follow him. His decision to leave behind the hitman lifestyle is a desperate attempt to reclaim a shred of his humanity, but it's not as simple as leaving behind a job. The violence, the betrayal, the years spent in emotional numbness, these things are embedded in his soul, ingrained in every decision he's ever made. There is no escaping the damage he's inflicted on others, and no matter how far he goes, he can't outrun the consequences. Caleb tries to settle into a quieter life, but the nightmares plague him. Each night his sleep is interrupted by flashbacks to his time as a hitman, the faces of the people he killed, the cold detachment he once felt, and the blood on his hands. He is haunted by the memory of Peter's final moments, his death so sudden and unexpected that Caleb wonders if it was fate, or if it was his own twisted form of justice. The guilt gnaws at him, even as he starts a new chapter of his life. Can he ever find redemption? Can a man like him ever be forgiven for the things he's done? In his search for peace, Caleb turns to an old acquaintance, a former military chaplain who was a mentor of sorts during his time in service. The chaplain, now living a quiet life in a small town, agrees to meet with Caleb, sensing the weight of his suffering. Caleb opens up for the first time, telling him everything, the betrayals, the killings, the hollow existence he's been living. He admits to the chaplain that he feels like a man who's lost everything, not just his marriage, but his own soul. He doesn't know if he can ever find forgiveness for what he's done, but he's tired of running from it. He wants to be free of the past, but he doesn't know how. The chaplain listens quietly, offering Caleb the one thing he's never had: understanding. In a world where Caleb has been trained to kill without remorse, the chaplain's words are a revelation. You can't change what's been done, Caleb, but you can choose how you move forward. Redemption isn't about forgetting what happened. It's about making peace with it and with yourself. For the first time in years, Caleb feels a glimmer of hope. Maybe, just maybe, he can learn to forgive himself. The final step in Caleb's journey comes when he realizes that, while the past may always be a part of him, it doesn't have to define his future. He starts taking small steps toward a new life, getting a job that's far removed from the world of violence he's known, seeking therapy to address the trauma he's experienced, and slowly building relationships with people who know nothing about the man he used to be. It's a painful, arduous process, But with every passing day, Caleb starts to see a glimpse of the man he could have been before all the bloodshed. He doesn't expect to be absolved for the things he's done. He knows that no matter how hard he tries, the scars will always remain. But as he faces his past, acknowledging his mistakes, he begins to rebuild his sense of self. He's learning to live with the consequences, and in doing so, he finds a strange kind of peace. Caleb knows he can never fully undo the damage, but he's committed to making things right, even if it's just in small ways. One day, as Caleb stands at the edge of a quiet park, watching children play and families walk by, he finally feels a sense of calm that has eluded him for years. The ghosts of his past may still be there, lurking in the background, but they no longer have control over him. He's not the man he used to be, the ruthless killer who found comfort in darkness. He's someone new now, someone trying to find redemption in a world that may never forgive him, but that he's determined to live in honestly. And so, Caleb begins again. Not as a hitman, not as the man whose life was defined by revenge, but as a man who, after everything, still believes that there's a chance to start over. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to my channel for more stories like this.